The My Dress Up Darling manga has ended, and while the series was good overall, the ending left a lot to be desired. It was super abrupt. Pretty much all of the side characters just got cut off. Gojo and Marin's relationship got cut really short. And we haven't heard word from the author, but it seems like there might have been some kind of lingering health issues. The manga went from 3 chapters every 2 months to kind of monthly, but then the chapter lengths were still the same pretty much. And there was also a couple breaks in there for multiple months. And then suddenly the ending just got announced and it was done, which is why I suspect it's health related. I think it's still worth reading. It's only like 115 chapters. And if you don't want to reread the parts that you saw already in the anime, it's like 70. So it's a pretty short read as far as manga goes. So hopefully the author is doing all right. I do wish that she would make some kind of announcement, even if it's just as simple as some personal things came up and I had to end it. Doesn't need to be detailed or really get into her business, but it would be nice to have some kind of answer instead of just suddenly it's over and a lot of what was being set up feels abandoned. The pacing does feel really funky near the end, where you get things like the Haniel cosplay photo shoot lasting like 3 or 4 chapters. That whole arc lasts like 15 to 20. And then all of a sudden the whole series is wrapped up in 2 chapters. And unfortunately, this is a fairly common thing for rom-com mangas, where 95% of the series is the build up, and then as soon as they get together, it just ends. I think even something like Nagatoro or Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. A lot of these stories make this choice, and I'm just not a fan of it, because what you've done, generally speaking, is a lot of the conflict is them struggling with their feelings, struggling to get each other to notice one another. Usually they have some kind of rival in love, and that's where a lot of the conflict comes from. And I don't really see any reason that you can't have them get together and create another conflict for them to go through as a couple and sort of navigate the issues that come up in relationships. And it's just a bummer, especially if the story didn't really end of the author's own volition. Of course, if you want an abrupt ending versus long hiatuses, or the Hunter x Hunter issue where it's just 10 chapters every couple years and it's never really going to finish, I guess you can debate about which one is better or worse. But this ending just kind of feels like if you went on a Lord of the Rings marathon binge and then all of a sudden, right as the battle at Gondor was about to start, you ate bad food and went and just shit yourself in the bathroom. And when you came back, you just saw the hobbits back at the Shire. Like, you cut out the whole journey to get to the happy ending is kind of how it feels. So since I'm kind of bitching about the ending of this one, I at least wanted to mention a couple series that I think are examples of how to carry on once the confession has happened. So obviously there's going to be spoilers here for this too. One series that I think does this well is Maid-sama. But the way that this story is structured, if you read the manga in its entirety, is the first third, you see Usui going after Misaki. We really don't know anything about him, and she's kind of in denial about her feelings. The middle third, she's accepting those feelings, and this is about where you get your confession, but then problems start to arise from his background that was previously unknown. And then the last third, we kind of get a reversal of the first third, where Misaki has to be the one to really put in all the effort to break through to Usui because of the previous life that he had before she met him. Obviously, if you like the execution or don't, that's all its own thing. But I think structure-wise, that's a really neat structure for a rom-com. Another example is Kaguya-sama Love is War. If you've seen the anime, where it stops after season 3, I think is a perfectly fine place for the series to stop. And season 3 ends about 2/3 of the way through the story. And it uses the next third-ish to explore the side characters, going more depth with their stories. There's problems because of Kaguya's background, obviously. Plenty of people have issue with the way that the series goes on. I thought it was pretty funny, and the tone stayed pretty much the same. And I'm not going to keep rambling on about this topic. My whole point was just that the stories don't necessarily need to just have confession end. And I think that kind of shortchanges the characters a lot of the time. And in a way, it kind of turns them into caricatures of themselves. Like, obviously, the romance is a big part of a rom-com. Duh. But I think to kind of reduce your main characters to that makes them feel less human. Like, if once they've gotten into the relationship, that's it for their life. And I just really think with a little bit of creativity, you can explore all kinds of different things that people go through in life on their own or as a couple. Even if you want to have them have similar fights, or struggles in the relationship that they had prior to the confession, you can still do that. Especially because a lot of these series tend to focus on high school age kids. So things like, preparing for the next stage of life, whether that be a job or college or whatever, is a big thing. Is that something that might drive the relationship apart and they have to overcome it? Are they maybe not sure what kind of life they want long term? Maybe their goals are conflicting, or they had a different image of what a relationship would be with the person. Maybe they become more possessive because now they're afraid to lose them. There's a lot of ways you can go with it. And I think keep the tone still pretty light, even while touching on heavy subjects, and really let the story run its natural course beyond just the kind of generic and they lived happily ever after. So I'm not going to keep rambling on this topic. I mainly just wanted to vent a little because I was frustrated with how inexplicably abrupt My Dress Up Darling ended when it's been such a good series the whole time. And just to point out that there are plenty of series who go beyond this point and maintain the quality of the series and the integrity of the characters. So I'm going to leave it there. If you've read it or are going to read it, or whatever, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I try to respond to the comments that aren't just insults, like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.